morning, everyone. Over the next 10 minutes or so, I'm just going to touch on some of the things that we're doing at the club to support safer navigation. In order to avoid that dreaded time is up slide at the end, I've got some notes to refer to, so apologies for that. It's not my normal style, but we'll go ahead on that basis. There we go. I think our industry is very fond of acronyms, and the club are no different. On this occasion, we're using Get Set, with SET standing for Safety and Efficiency Technologies. And over the next 10 minutes, I'm just going to touch on a couple of those interesting, some of the conversations we've already had this morning about the adoption of technology and the digitalization of the industry, and these kind of refer to those. So a little bit in the background, I think there's a number of contributory factors that certainly have the potential for improvements in navigational safety right now. And I think we have to acknowledge that whatever you think of Elon Musk, Starlink has disrupted ship-to-shore communication. And it is making the evolution of onboard tech much more viable, with the transfer of data between ship and shore faster and more affordable. And this is definitely opening up the opportunity for technological development on board the ship. And I'd like to just touch on a couple of these. Another aspect of our lives that is disrupting what we do, especially we see it within the insurance industry, is data and the access to data. There's so much of it available now, and at the club we find ourselves increasingly collaborating with sector-specific experts in order to leverage its use in areas that we think we can help make a difference in managing risk and developing tools that make ship operations safer. This has proven to be invaluable with our current partners, and I fully expect that we will continue to do this in the future. The first of these technologies that I want to touch on relates to that most fundamental aspect of vessel navigation and the lookout. Taking modern camera technology, combining it with machine learning, is enabling watchkeepers to see things differently around the ship and inform better collision avoidance decision making. Not only does this reduce the number of close quarter situations we see on vessels using the tech, but taking action earlier means that there are fewer manoeuvres taken at the last minute, and we're also seeing some stats that support this is improving vessel efficiency. So we have a bit of a win-win outcome here. Fewer collisions and near misses, along with more efficient manoeuvring on board. These are just two examples of what this looks like for a watchkeeper. And even for those of you who are not deck officers in the room, it's pretty obvious, comparing these images, how this technology can help with situational awareness and decision making. We also see this as a great way to get crews engaged in new technology. And again, some of our previous speakers have spoken about the perception of AI, machine learning, the mass program, in order to get this technology embedded on board, and it's coming. We have to get the crews to see the benefit of it and choose to engage in it. And we see these technologies certainly in helping in that space. The second aspect of navigational safety that I wanted to touch on is ECDIS and the use of it. And although widely recognised as an excellent navigation aid, there has been for a long time now concerns that the mandatory operational training for its safe use could be better, and we've heard already about STCW and how that is evolving. Failings here lead to misunderstanding and onboard navigational errors, and that is leading to serious incidents. Over the years, we have seen the misuse of ECDIS as a contributory factor in many of the Admiralty claims which we see coming through the club. And in particular, a very common recurring feature are the under-keel clearance calculations and the over-reliance on some hydrographic information being used to produce depths that are considered on board to be safe for navigation, but in reality maybe erring a little bit perhaps on the side of unsafe. Of course, this is not new, and some of the key takeaways from the joint UK and Danish study of ECDIS a few years ago reported on a number of common errors by system operators, such as disabling of alarms intended to alert the watchkeeper that something's not right, watchkeepers not using the look ahead function, and a general lack of system awareness, and in particular operators not using safety settings for under-keel clearance, that very thing that I touched on. Knowing that this is an area of weakness for some time and recognising the potential benefits of doing something about it, we developed an ECDIS training platform in collaboration with the UK Hydrographic Office, and this has been available to our members since the beginning of the year. So far, we've seen more than 4,500 deck officers take part in the programme, and a wide range of responses, as you would probably expect. And it didn't really come as any surprise to us, and it was pretty much the whole point of the programme: identify areas of weakness and then provide access to learning material to fill the gaps, and that's what we do with the platform. What it's also provided us with is an insight into those areas of the system that participants are struggling with most often. These include the function of chart installation and update. Perhaps not surprisingly in this area, scores were much higher for second mates than masters. You would expect that, the nature of the role on board. Another low scoring area was the interpretation and the use of safety settings and depth contours, particularly when plotting no-go areas on the system. And lastly, the removal of settings and layers in an effort to declutter the screen. Now, all of these, for different reasons, pretty important functions for the safe operation of the ship. What we probably should concern ourselves with is why the level of understanding is where it is, and maybe ask ourselves a few broader questions. And again, we've touched on it already with STCW. Why is it that ECDIS is still a short course? Why is it not embedded in mainstream chart work and navigational education? 18 years ago, I was a lecturer at a nautical college in Scotland, and for that very basic navigational qualification, we were delivering 40 hours of chart work and 40 hours of voice planning. Why is it that a 5-day ECDIS course is seen to be sufficient to be able to incorporate that level of understanding into ECDIS equipment? Really is quite surprising. Arguably, long overdue, and I hope a game changer. Harry touched on it earlier in terms of functionality of bridge equipment. We are seeing changes within the industry, and we are going to see the introduction of S100 in a couple of years' time. That will create more standardisation in which the watchkeeper sees on critical bridge equipment, and it will go a long way to improve general awareness and the familiarity of equipment. The introduction of default and user settings, standardised terminology, common abbreviations and icons for frequently used functions should make the user experience a lot more straightforward. Installation and updating will be simpler. Depth contours, as we know them, will disappear completely. And as you can see from the image on this slide, visualization will be much improved, and there will be, at some point in the future, dynamic under-keel clearance information and simplified voyage planning functionality. Big takeaways from the UK and Danish study highlighted the main benefits of reducing the workload of watchkeepers and improving situational awareness with the introduction of ECDIS. Also providing some headspace for better cognitive assessment of the navigational situation. But for those to be realised, we need to think more carefully about how we embed ECDIS into mainstream education, introducing refresher training and making watchkeepers are ready for S100. It's coming. The first equipment will be available in 26, and it will be a mandatory requirement from 29. So I think as a collective, as an industry, we need to ready ourselves for that. Just for the last couple of minutes, I just wanted to take this opportunity to mention the SSA and the MPA cybersecurity scorecard. Cybersecurity is one of the big concerns about S100 and machine-to-machine communication. And the scorecard was launched at the Singapore Maritime Week in April this year. And we at the club certainly are very happy to endorse it. Entirely voluntary, the scorecard represents the sector's understanding of current good practice and enables users to benchmark their cybersecurity maturity against peers, identify areas of weakness, and provide some clear direction on improvements to develop maturity in each area of security control. We see this as an excellent resource, particularly for operators with limited expertise in infrastructure. To date, there are approximately 50 ship owners who have signed up for it, and the MPA and SSA are keen to expand this to the wider shipping community. Up until this point, the target membership has been predominantly members of the SSA, but the scorecard is gathering traction, and we are keen to see it adopted wider within the sector. And I've managed to avoid that your time is up slide. Thank you.